CD Projekt Red co-founder puts out an apology video regarding Cyberpunk 2077. Let's talk about it. Cyberpunk came out like what, two months ago? No, sorry, it came out about a month ago. Yeah,
about a month ago. Yeah,
and we had some time to play it, and so many things have happened. And me and Talos haven't gotten a chance to do a video on it yet. We were working on a video until this story popped up, so we decided to hold off on that for a bit and include this story in the discussion. Cyberpunk 2077 was a pretty hyped game. There was
super hyped.
There was a lot of hype behind it, and there was a bit of controversy last year when it was delayed twice.
Almost, I think 3 times actually.
Yeah, it was delayed a couple times, and it officially came out I think December 10th or something like that. And it was a pretty disastrous launch.
Yeah, to say the least. To say the least,
right. The game was full of bugs, full of glitches, and it wasn't even optimized for the current generation of consoles. And by that I mean the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Now, granted, we expected there will be bugs, like any game that's this massive. We expected some bugs, but nothing game breaking, nothing like graphically degrading, like certain textures not even loading up in time. Even on high end PCs, sometimes you start noticing some stuff is not loading correctly. Game breaking glitches, like we mentioned. Characters walk into walls, throwing you off that immersion, really, because the game itself is really good, granted, but it's just sometimes those little things kind of throw you off the engagement. If you want to fully invest yourself into the game, those glitches really throw you off.
There was a ton of backlash with the game. We'll cover that later. Because there was I think a lawsuit currently going on right now regarding CD Projekt Red, and they're being accused of being dishonest with their marketing. There was also a little bit of controversy regarding returns. A lot of people who pre-ordered it digitally wanted to return it, and they said it was okay to return it, but the PlayStation 4 was saying otherwise.
Well, Sony specifically, yes, was saying otherwise. They're notorious for not doing refunds at all, especially for digital games. And I want to say they're almost blindsided by this news, because as soon as the news came out, they're like, okay, we're going to remove CD Projekt Red's game Cyberpunk out of the library of downloadable games. I guess that was their method to for users to not abuse it, basically buying it for a couple of days and then asking for that refund. So they just removed it straight out of the PSN store.
A couple of days ago, CD Projekt Red's co-founder, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Marcin Iwinski, put out an apology video.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Put out an apology video, basically confirming everything that we suspected regarding the development history of the game. They knew that the game was only optimized for PC. It wasn't on the current consoles, and it was their decision to release it, and he apologized for it.
Yes.
And a lot of rumors were going around. They were saying how there was a lot of friction between the top board and the development team, and it seems like it was true.
Yeah.
The development team knew that the game wasn't ready yet, but these guys decided to pull the trigger and release the game.
Yep.
And the reason for releasing the game was to coincide with the release of the next generation consoles like the PlayStation 5
and of course the holidays. That also kind of helps as well.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's I can't be mad. I'm just super disappointed at CD Projekt Red for we put so much faith in them, and they were one of the few developers that we trusted out there. Obviously, we lost our trust with EA long ago. We lost our trust with Ubisoft. We lost our trust with Activision. this was the one company that we had faith in. Like they even have their slogan was, "It'll be ready when it's ready." That was a thing. That was their whole perspective.
Mhm.
But the way it's released, it definitely wasn't ready. So
Right.
that was a huge backstab right there.
Yeah. So, according to this article, the console version of Cyberpunk 2077 did not meet the quality standard we wanted it to meet, Iwinski said. I and the entire leadership team are deeply sorry for this, and this video is me publicly owning up to that. Please don't fault any of our team for what happened.
Yeah, we definitely don't. Like the developing team, we knew their talent. We know they're talented. We know they're skilled, and they knew that it wasn't ready. It comes down to, like we mentioned before, that leadership. The entire leadership team is the one that really took the fall here.
Yeah. Iwinski went on to explain from his perspective that the game came to launch with so many bugs on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One that it was often unplayable.
I don't know if this is a rumor or not, but there were also footage captured by like YouTubers or reviewers or anyone that got the original copies. They were given instructions to not show bad stuff in the reviews.
We pretty much agree. Like the game it's pretty good just by itself.
Yeah.
I'm playing it on the PC. You're playing it on
PS5.
PS5, and it's running pretty well for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's.
I mean, I only crashed maybe twice, but apart from that, like I still experience some graphical glitches here and there. But it's definitely not as bad as some of the experiences that PS4 and Xbox One is experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm playing it on PC, and I haven't run into any game-breaking bugs. Like a lot of goofy stuff, like like floating data pads and floating handguns and floating
cigars
guns.
and floating burgers.
Yeah, it's just like weird, graphical glitches like that. But otherwise, it's the game is okay.
So you haven't crashed even once, like completely crashed?
No crashes.
Okay.
They already put out like a couple of hot fixes for the game. And they're also planning on releasing, a couple of DLCs in the future.
Yeah, if you want to show that roadmap as well,
yes.
they had a roadmap.
Cyberpunk 2077 updates roadmap. All right, here we go. We have release. We have like the 3 hot fixes.
Mm-hmm.
They're currently working on 2 patches right now for 2021. And eventually a free...
No release date, by the way. No release date.
No release date. A free DLC somewhere like maybe in the beginning of the second quarter, from like judging from the scale of this map.
Yeah, maybe even early summer.
Yeah, and then eventually a free next gen console update.
Which honestly, I wish that was earlier, because like they talked about they were gonna do a next gen upgrade, because right now I'm playing it on the PS5. It's still technically using the PS4 port. So any graphical enhancements that could have been used from the software and the hardware in the PS5 is not being utilized. And I was hoping that was going to be released sometime in February at the very latest, or earliest, I should say. But now they're prioritizing DLC over the next gen console updates. So for me, that makes me so mad. Yeah. I was like, why?
But here's the weird thing about it. Like if you look at the map, right? So release to 2020, like that first half, where from release to 2021, that's only like a couple of weeks. That's like December 10th to 2021, right? And then you have this other, like the second half from 2021 to 2022. Like we don't know, like they don't give us any dates.
If they give an exact date and they don't do it on that exact date, then it kind of backfires on them. So that's probably why they kept it pretty vague. To kind of cover their ass type deal.
It's just a shame that it has to be like this. It's like, because first impressions are everything, right? Like the first impression for most people on Cyberpunk 2077, it's like it's a buggy mess, and it's just going to turn people off. So they are working on improving the game. I feel like this is going to turn into like a No Man's Sky like situation,
Oh yeah, big time. Everyone's already comparing it.
Yeah, so it's they promised a lot of stuff and they didn't deliver on it, and they released a half broken game, and the game is only going to get better. You know, they're already working on a couple of patches, and not to mention the free DLCs. And they mentioned there was going to be an expansion eventually,
And multiplayer apparently.
and multiplayer. So, you know, for people who are looking to return the game, just
Just wait, I guess.
just wait. Yeah, hold on to it and wait. The game is definitely going to get better. Let's talk about the lawsuit now. Yeah, so we mentioned the lawsuit earlier. CD Projekt Red is getting sued for, pretty much not being completely honest with a lot of their claims. They promised a lot
false
of
and
things.
misleading.
Yeah. According to this Polygon article by Nicole Carpenter, Rosen Law Firm said it filed the suit on behalf of investors that purchased securities, like stock, between the period of January 16th to 17th, 2020. The lawsuit lawyer said CD Projekt Red made false or misleading statements about Cyberpunk 2077. They try to cover up the fact that the game wasn't optimized for current gen consoles, and they try to silence people who had like the early review copies.
Mm-hmm.
The trailers looked good. It didn't indicate that there was anything wrong with the game.
But the trailers they did show, though, were only from probably PC or next gen games. They never showed trailer comparisons to like older consoles, older gens.
CD Projekt Red said they were willing to fight this. You and I aren't like law experts. I don't like they have a pretty good case, though.
In terms of the investors, you mean?
Yeah, the investors have a pretty strong case. The game came out, like a total mess.
If anything, like I don't know how it will be resolved, but I would imagine like they'll probably get their money back for their investments. If anything, maybe they'll try to persuade them to give them more shares, stuff like that. But that will kind of, if they do that route, it's going to lower the value of that stock because now they're diluting their value by just giving out more shares. So I think the best approach for them is to just sell out their shares, and it's still going to lower the price of that stock. But at least at that point, they'll get some kind of retribution for the investors that had a lot of high hopes for the game.
Yeah, and you mentioned too that that they lost like how much money during when the game was released? They lost.
I want to say $1 billion.
They lost a couple of billion, right?
I want to say $1 billion.
Stocks. Yeah.
Even though they did lose $1 billion in shares, they still sold more than 13 million copies of the game.
Right.
So they I guess they still made money. I don't know like what the math turns into.
Yeah, they said like just on pre-orders alone, they managed to make back the money that they spent on the development. So financially, it was still a success for them. They made some money off of it.
Mm-hmm. But they could have made a lot more if the game was released how we hoped it was going to be released.
Yeah. And speaking of which, a lot of people were returning their games, right?
Refunds.
This article saying that Cyberpunk is quickly losing players on Steam, but it's still selling well.
And as the game gets more patches and more improvements, it just makes it that much more sense to just wait for the game to be at the optimal state to replay it again or buy it on these older consoles or PC even.
So yeah, despite all the bugs and all the glitches, they're still selling. They're still making money off of it. But the thing is, Cyberpunk 2077, it's a pretty big game, but it's not meant to be played forever. You eventually there's like a main story, and eventually you do
even with the DLC. Eventually there is an end to it. That's why they probably added that multiplayer in later to kind of add some longevity to it. But in terms of single player story and campaign, so one done. If not, if you do the 3 different storylines and 3 different missions, which I heard there's only like 1 secret mission for each of the roles, so that's not a lot. Hopefully they add more in the future.
But yeah, the game is meant to you're meant to stop playing the game eventually until like the DLCs and the expansion comes out.
Correct.
This is all still developing, and we'll try to keep you guys updated on any new changes or updates to this story. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed our content, you can support us by liking and subscribing. And feel free to leave a comment down below. See you guys in the next video.